Last week on the pregame show on TBS, there was a really interesting segment where they went into a thing with baseball cards and they interviewed Ken Goldin, some guy from, I guess, TBS. I really should know his name, but I don't. Interviewed Ken Goldin, and Ken Goldin said this.
What a card looks like, that modern card looks like. I mean, it says dull, and that's from the 21st century.
All right, so Joe, what's your take on that, man?
Dull. Can't use that word. I mean, come on. I mean, I get it, what he was trying to do, and I know he's trying to appease the younger crowd, the younger generation of collectors, but comparing it to an Aaron rookie, I mean, that card pops of obviously the technology of today. You know what I'm saying? The card is going to look different, right? But I just think it was a terrible. And listen, I love Ken. Ken is smart as hell. He does a lot of stuff for the hobby. I love how he brings his kid into the hobby. He's been doing this for a long time. I mean, he's getting in the limelight now, but he's been doing it for a long time. And I respect him. But I just think it was a bad comparison to put Hank, especially on live TV, to the masses, to everyone, even people that don't collect or have no idea about cards, right? Dull. Can't use dull.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the Trout. The Trout is a gorgeous card, absolutely beautiful card. It's everything that's cool about modern cards. It's low numbered, it's autoed, it's super rare and super sought after. So, I mean, great card. And, like you said, different technology now. We have refractors and all this kind of stuff. But I'm not taking anything away from the Trout rookie because it's a great card. But that, the 54 Topps Hank Aaron rookie card is one of the most beautiful cards. I would love that card. I'd take that in an 8 over that Mike Trout, just on a collector. I mean, if I wanted to sell it and make money, obviously I'd take the Mike Trout and then buy the Aaron afterwards. But like if I was on, some fantasy world where money didn't matter and I had to pick one of those cards, I'm taking a 54 Aaron all day.
Joe, but the thing with that Aaron, and as you know, there's some 1s and 2s that could be beat up, but the color is still pops and still makes the card beautiful. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather have a 3 or 4 of that Aaron with the color popping than a 6 where there's no color, but it's just, the corners are straight. I mean, for me, some of those older cards, and we talk about this all the time. I mean, the Gaudis and some of those, T206. I mean, the colors on that are like insane. 100-year-old cards are just like the colors are still popping. And I just don't like when people confuse the technology with the art of the card. Two different things. You know what I'm saying? Because you could have the sickest looking technology. The card could have all these shiny things going on, but that doesn't mean it pops more than a card, like how we love, the Bowmans, the 50, 51. But some of those colors on those cards are beautiful. And that's the side of it where I got upset a little bit with the dull, wording. Like you said, the Trout card, beautiful card, but you can't compare those two. I mean, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah, and I mean, all respect due to Ken Goldin. I mean, he's the man. He's the king of the baseball cards and sports card auctions. But whatever. I just thought that was kind of like, wow, all right. And another thing about it that I thought was kind of crazy is that this guy who was interviewing him, and again, I'm sorry if I don't remember who this guy was. I was taping it from my phone and I couldn't find it on the internet afterwards because they just said it when I was watching the game. But this guy said the boom's for real this time. And I'm just like, I don't know, man. You know what I mean? Because right now we're definitely in a correction. Mike Trout, speaking of Mike Trout, you can get a Mike Trout and a PSA 9 now for like $1,300, $1,400, which I think is a great buy. The 2011 Topps update. During the pandemic, that card was like $2,400 in the 9. And people were trying to get like ridiculous amounts for the 10s. So we're definitely, especially with baseball too. I think the other big, the basketball cards are so big and the football cards so valuable that with the modern baseball really just doesn't have the firepower to compete with it. So once those get hit, the baseball is going to follow. Not to say there won't be, crazy chase cards worth a lot of money, but you're seeing it come down. I definitely am seeing the price of modern cards come down on the baseball side. So, what he was basically saying was like, well, the reason it's for real now is because we have low numbered cards and technology and autos. But here's the thing, and we spoke about this many times. Like, even if you have a case of say 1984 Topps, it doesn't mean you have a mint Don Mattingly rookie in there, because you could have, it might be hard to even find one that's a 9. Like to have a card that's a Gem 10 from the 80s that had to survive, the pack, the cut, how colorful it was depending on the printing machine.
Oh, it's a needle in the haystack, bro.
It naturally, the condition sensitivity and all these other factors make those 80s cards really, really still super rare to me. So, I don't really believe that doing it like this way, because when you look, I see stuff, the amount of modern rookie autos I see for every player now is just so crazy. It's so crazy. It just devalues all of them. You can't have 15 rookie autos because, right?
No, so 100%. Like going back to what you were saying, even with the Ricky Henderson, remember during that whole everybody was grading Rickies. Right. You know what I'm saying? And even 8s were going for, 5, 6, 7, 800. You know what I'm saying? All the way from that over to over $1,000. You know what I'm saying? It was, and now they're starting to come down where, you can get an 8 for, 300, you know what I'm saying? 354. Right. But how many did PSA grade? And the amount that they graded, I bet you the percentage of 10s, like you're saying, was so low. Because I don't think there's a lot of 10 rookies. Like in terms of the percentages of how many are graded, you know what I'm saying? And even if you, like you said, if you have a case of his rookie year, come on, bro. We open a lot of old stuff, and come on, you know what I'm saying? Even if you're getting that perfect card, the thing could be straight 8OC, all day, so that whole side of it, man, is like the other factor of it. And then you go back into the older stuff and you can't even get any, you can't rip any older stuff. So whatever's out there is out there. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's in some guy's vault, like we talk about, because you see cards, PSA cards, how's this card a 10 or whatever? And you're like, where is that card? Like, who has that card? We always talk about that. Like some guy has it in a vault and he's, he's worth 40 million. And he's like, or he's an OG and he just don't care about it. And then, when he passes, his grandkids or kids find it or have it, and then they might sell it and give it to Ken Goldin and whatever else, put it in auction. But like, yeah, for me, like, man, the new stuff is so oversaturated. Like even with the, with the Zion, we talked about that and how many PSA 10s are out there. So why is that card so valuable? Why? You know what I'm saying? If there's 4,000 PSA 10s of his rookie, I really don't want that card. Would I want, for a PC, would I want a Zion, maybe a different card that has, a lower number, that, a short print? Yeah, I would. That makes sense in the long run. But like just to have a base rookie PSA 10, what is for what? Right.
You're paying a premium for a card, and there's a ton of them. It's, I saw somebody post something online where they were talking about the George Brett rookie and comparing it to like a Zion or a Luka rookie. And you're just like, there's so many of these cards in 10s, but there's not that many George Brett rookies in 10s. It's like ridiculous. Or Ozzie Smith, just based on the condition sensitivity.
Way more extended.
Right. So the natural beauty of it, of the whole process of cards, and of course, people back in the day, from collectors to the producers, not really thinking about them as a commodity or whatever, a valuable thing. So it makes it that much, more interesting to collect cards like that. But yeah, it's definitely oversaturated. We're definitely in a correction right now, 100%, I feel. And, it's just kind of nuts because, you showed me that Juan Soto card today, which is ridiculous. The 1-of-1, Bowman's first auto, Juan Soto, incredible, like the best Soto you can have. And it's like, interesting it'll be in like 40 years from now, 50 years, what people would pay for that card if he does in fact have like a Ted Williams type career. That's the crazy thing, right? Because could you imagine a mantle, low numbered, if they did 52 mantles and they did like there was a 1-of-1 that was crazy, like it's just, we can't even contemplate that.
Oh, you can't.
Okay, so if you guys seen the interview with Mr. Rubin, the CEO of Fanatics on it wasn't Morning Joe, CNBC, okay, where he broke down basically some of the things that me and Joe were speculating about, unfortunately, seem to be coming to fruition. So basically, he said he wants to control or have some control of the secondary market, grading cards, storing cards, potentially buying cards directly from the factory graded or crazy autos, which to me will destroy, the LCSs. It will ruin the breakers. It will ruin the flippers. And it's just kind of crazy. So Joe, what's your thoughts on the way they're approaching this whole like one-stop shop? It's kind of nuts.
I don't like anything that's, a monopoly. It freaks me out. We talked about this before, and they haven't really broke it down how it's going to work, right? So we don't know the logistics of it. We just know what they want to do. Now, like you said, with the LCS and, how does it affect all these guys, collectors? And it's just, I don't want to buy cards from someone and they're grading the cards that I bought from, it's just, to me, it's too much. The card business has been going on like this forever, obviously from way back with all those, T206s and all the way up to Tops and Bowman. And then, as we got, we were kids, the Don Russ, the Fleers and the Scores. And now you have, all these different, you have Tops, but there's like 20 different Tops products, right? And you have Bowman and there's, Platinum, Chrome, Sterling. And so to take all those away until they come up with a blueprint, I'm freaked out.
To me, like if Fanatics, just destroys everything that Tops has worked for and it's done, and there are no products like, Gypsy Queen or, any of the products that Tops makes, a lot of little niche products that some people collect, some don't. I think that'll be a problem. And I wanted to say one other thing that I don't know, man, but what if Tops just says, look, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do this, right? In a way, Tops has some kind of, chips to play with. Number one, if they say no, right, all these products that people love are just going to be completely gone. No more Bowman, no more, Bowman Chrome, no more Tops Chrome, all these things that people like every year wait for, totally gone, right? How are they going to do that? What if Tops says, look, we're not doing that, and we're not going to let you have Mike Trout's contract because Mike Trout has a lifetime contract with Tops? What if Tops is like, no,
how's that going to work, bro? How?
Yeah, it's crazy, bro.
No, what are your thoughts with the whole Trout thing? I mean, you brought that to my attention earlier, and I totally forgot about that. And I said, oh, that's a whole other side of it now.
I mean, I was looking online and in the groups and stuff on Facebook, which is the only good thing about Facebook. They have good baseball card groups, and people were talking about the Fanatic situation. And I said, what happens with Mike Trout's lifetime contract? And one guy was like, he posted some articles about it. It's like a big deal contract. It's like, as long as Mike Trout is playing baseball, that's the language in the contract, he's with Tops. So I don't know. If Tops is like, we're not selling, you're not going to see a Mike Trout card anymore. We're going to keep this in litigation for a long time. That would be crazy. Another thing that's kind of crazy is that in 2023, Tops are no longer, I think, allowed to make cards because the MLB PA ends there. So Fanatics at that point could make cards like Don Russ, or rather Panini's making now, like no logos with the players. Tops at that point couldn't use the players, but they have the logos. So they're going to make what? Cards with logos on it? It's a really, really weird thing. We haven't heard anything about it for like a month and a half now. But I don't know. What if Tops is just like, look, we've been doing this for a long time. Why don't we just sit back, watch the whole thing collapse? We have Mike Trout. We have people who are addicted to Bowman Chrome and all this stuff, like crackheads. And we're just going to say, no, we're good. You can't use any of our name. You can't use any of it. What happens to Fanatics? I mean, and I was like,
collect Chrome. People that just collect first. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, if they're gonna buy Topps out, but Topps could play hardball or whatever. I don't know. I mean, if the goal is to buy them out and everyone, you know what I'm saying? Because there's no other way to go. What, are you just not gonna have Topps? Or that side of it, where you would have thought, these guys have endless money. They're in the sports business already. Obviously, they know what they're doing with apparel and everything else. I just thought early on you would hear more of what they want to do. I mean, maybe they want to keep it under the hat, or maybe they don't even know and they're winging it. You know what I'm saying? They don't know because they don't know what Topps is going to do. But you got to hear more. I need to hear something. And you don't hear the chatter really about it. I think so. I don't know, man.
You just hear, the only thing we've heard was first there was a CEO of another company that was heavily involved with Fanatics, and then there was the Rubin interview. So those are the two things. In the Rubin interview, like, he made it completely clear what his intention was, and he kind of, demeaned Topps in a way. It was like, well, Topps is a good manufacturer, but they never really had the vision of tying it all together. And I think they don't understand that. Like, we talk about this. How cool is it when you find some small spot or garage sale or somebody who's selling a card? You get some old card, you send it to SGC, like, that those cards are out there. If everyone says, oh, what is this new place where you send all your cards? Great. And they get a majority of the cards and are holding all the cards, and they kill the hunt. They kill the hunt of finding the card. Like, they don't understand. These are collectibles. These are not, I don't know, man. The whole thing to me is nuts. I think that they really see the money in the secondary market. And to Topps' credit, Topps could have always been like, all right, we're gonna keep back a bunch of, we're gonna keep back like X amount of hobby boxes every year. We're gonna set up some shell company to sell them and just crush it. Who would know? You know what I mean? Like, Topps could easily do that. Be like, yeah, we're gonna start a shell company. We're gonna, supply them with ridiculous Topps unopened boxes and crush it. Does Topps do that? I mean, I'm not saying Topps has never done anything underhanded, but like, Topps, that's not their thing. They're cardboard business. They print, and then they think of more stuff. They don't need to do that because they print a gazillion cards, and that's what they do. But, this idea of like, these guys see it when people who are like really business oriented, they look at every single penny and they're like, well, wait a minute, what about all that money? How come we can't touch that money? And then they say, all right, in order to get that money, we're going to have to give people the whole package. Because if not, it's not going to be that way. They want it to be like, all right, you're watching a game, Joe. You see Ozzy Albies, he just hit a double. It's going to be MLB Fanatics. They're going to be like, oh, and if you want Ozzy Albies auto, it's 1990 or whatever. That to me just ruins the entire hobby. It's just, I can't think about what that's going to be.
Hey, it's like, it's the way of the world now. Everything to me is so many things are just fake. And it's the easy way, you know what I'm saying? Or what? No, we want the hard way. I want to be able to go and that's the point of collecting. You know what I'm saying? These, like you said, the people that, own the stores, these dudes that have businesses for the last 30, 40 years that are hanging on, making $20, $30 a box or whatever it is, to keep the lights on, but to keep the customers in the store. You know what I'm saying? And listen, I have a LCS close to me. These two dudes, they've had business for 30 years, two brothers, they're in their 60s. They collected manals. They've been through everything. But guess what they did? Friday and Saturday nights, you know what they do? They have like a, they have like a Pokemon magic little thing where they have the younger kids come in there and they play, they play the little thing. Well, I'm not into that. The guy don't even know. But you know what? How cool is that? These guys are 60 something years old and they're letting these, 17, 18, 19-year-old kids do something that they don't have any idea about, but it's the new age and they want to bring new customers, people that enjoy collecting and enjoy, the whole card, craze and all that. Like, that's cool, man. What happens to these dudes,
Yeah, no, I think that's really cool that, they're just like, look, it's trading cards, may not be baseball or football, but whatever. These kids are into it. Let's do it. Yeah. What you bring up is important because for me, it's like these guys struggled for a long time. The stores that have been around for years, and all of a sudden there's this massive boom during the pandemic. And now all of a sudden it's like, sorry, we're going to cut you out. That's not cool. That's not cool. And also, like, going back to before real quick, like, I just want to end it on this. Like, if Topps is like, all right, we're gonna sell. We'll sell you Tops. You want to use the names? Cool. And Mike Trout, cool. That price is gonna be crazy though. Trout, I mean, Mike Trout being like, who knows? Like, I'm not a lawyer. We don't know what a contract looks like, but this might be a crazy contract where Tops is like, listen, we're gonna put every penny into our attorneys to fight this tooth and nail, and they might have a strong case for it. And like, to avoid that for years, Tops could be like, listen, you want to use Bowman? You want to use Tops as a name? You want to put that on your packages, bro? Cool. You want Mike Trout? Cool. This is what the price is going to be. You might crack them open with that, bro.
The price the whole Trout contract changes everything.
All right, so we want to do this new segment on the show called like the greatest moments in wrestling, because wrestling is so incredible. We just wanted to break this whole thing down real quick. So let's check this out with Captain Lou Albano.
These dudes I've got up here with me now are known as the Sicilians, and who's the spokesman? We're to get one at a time. Why don't we start right over here with you, Tony? That's what we're here for. Our specific mission is here to get rid of all the talent. All right, you want to get rid of all the talent? We know we have the ability to beat these guys. We just want the chance to prove it. We're out here for one purpose: to beat these guys and to bring the title back to Sicily where it belongs. You think that you're in the same league with a couple of champions? There's nobody in our league. What are you in the same?
Yo. Bro, the stories behind this is just crazy, bro. You got to tell the story, man. Yo, he's throwing them around like, yo, this is crazy, bro. Joe, you got to tell the stories. Please tell them the story about when these guys got
crazy, man. When you think of the levels, so Captain Lou. By the way, original wrestling documentaries. Shout out to that channel. They make some of the best wrestling docs.
Really good stuff.
And concise, like 20 minutes, and they break. There's so much to break down, but Captain Lou, whatever. Born in Italy, came to New York, Mount Vernon, right? And
right next to me, Yonkers.
Right. Are you? And he was playing football, got thrown out of the army, got involved in wrestling, and did his thing, but soon, he became a manager. But before he was a manager, he had this group called the Sicilians. And it's just funny because it's a different world, like doing that back in the day had consequences. And he got, they leaned on him. People leaned on him, were like, yo, you can't do that. You're portraying Italians this way and that way. And they leaned on him and they were shook. They actually vacated the belts and left, left and went somewhere else. But to think about the kind of heat, that's crazy heat for like an Italian to do back in the day, to try to portray that. And then real people that are involved with that step to you and like, yo, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like that takes balls. And then just the whole idea, like, you saw this doc when they're talking about just the drama that was going down with the heat, like the riot. I think I got to pull up that riot at the end of that fight.
Was that the one with San Martino?
San Martino and was it Nikita Koloff? That captain?
Ivan Koloff.
Or was it Ivan Koloff? Yeah. And they're going to riot. Get them out of there. Bro. That's crazy. But like that kind of heat, like wrestling today, there's no way that you're going to have heat where people that somebody needs to pull out a gun. That story with Captain Lou pulling the gun out because it's, was it Dory Funk or whatever? I mean, this is crazy stuff. When San Martino lost the belt, people literally rioted, in the garden. You
also have to understand San Martino was a god in New York City, tri-state, whatever, especially to Italians. San Martino was a legend. You know what I'm saying? So back then, I mean, those dudes believed, they didn't want to hear wrestling was fake. I mean, I didn't either, but I'm saying you had grown men back then not going for it. So it was like, San Martino was, for him to lose or for something to happen to him, they wasn't trying to hear that, It's crazy.
It's crazy. There's a doc on that same channel about Kamala. And, that's one that I suggest watch that, man. It's incredible. And Kamala really dealt with like crazy racism growing up in the South and all this.
Yep.
And
the Ugandan giant, remember
yeah,
him?
man, this guy was crazy, and his mom was a huge wrestling fan, bro, and he didn't have the heart to tell her that wrestling was fake. And she passed away thinking wrestling was real, which I think is the most beautiful thing I ever heard. When I was like, that's incredible, man.
That's you gotta love that. I didn't know that. That's so cool.
Right. So, I mean, she was getting tight, like, yo, what happened? You got, this dude beat you up with whatever, like she thought it was real. But like that was most of America. That was people, these Italians in the
my great grandfather would sit in front of the TV like this close and be like moving around like, oh, whoa, like doing moves and stuff, and he'd be so into it. I mean, he was off the boat. He was so into it that you could never no one could tell him that this wasn't real. You know what I'm saying? When he sat down to watch that thing, it was like he was watching a baseball game or he was watching a football game. It was really happening. And he was, all in it. I mean, that's the beauty of it, right? Though, I mean, you can't find that anymore. You know what I'm saying?
You can't, like that, you're saying, you're bringing up two things. Number one, he was he was an ethnic wrestler. The ethnic wrestlers are gone. The ethnic wrestlers got the most heat. They got the most fans. I mean, you had, like the Puerto Rican ethnic wrestler, Pedro Morales. You had Ivan Putski, the Polish guy. You had Junkyard Dog, the black guy. You had, and those things, like
USA, all that Sergeant Slaughter.
Exactly. Like those kind of things, they went away from that. Also, they went away from managers in the 80s, like Lou Albano, these other guys, they kind of faded away because they were like, yo, we're going to phase you out of the game.
Yeah.
We don't really want the managers anymore. But I think it's important to point out that Captain Lou Albano innovated pro wrestling potentially more than anybody ever, because what he did was he made, he built the bridge between the pop world with Cyndi Lauper and pro wrestling. And that approach kept going on for years and years and years, where like at WrestleMania, they have literal celebrities coming to the ring. I mean, Donald Trump was in WrestleMania. Floyd Mayweather was in WrestleMania, like
Muhammad Ali,
right? So these things, like when you bring everything together like that, when Captain Lou was doing, people are still trying to do that, and I think that he doesn't get enough credit. He had a lot of issues with McMahon. I don't know if I sent you that one with Tony Atlas, where he said McMahon, where Captain Lou was so hammered out that Vince McMahon's team. Yeah, and he just took a piss on the floor, exposed himself or something. Yo, bro. That's just crazy, man.
Well, what they did say is that I think that Albano was so important that they couldn't really do anything to him. As much as maybe McMahon wanted to chuck him, I mean, who at that time was... The guy was in Cyndi Lauper. I mean, Cyndi Lauper was a huge star for people that don't know at that time. She was a huge star, and she had one of the best songs out at that point. He's in the, playing the dad in the video, and you know what I'm saying? And then into movies and all. I mean, come on, man. Like, I mean, whatever he was doing, how wild he was, I think my man, which he's a smart man, was like, I can't deal with this dude, but I can't let him go.
Yeah. He was just too influential.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like those guys, they're just, those characters are so missing in pro wrestling. And it's crazy because like you said it, Cyndi Lauper was like a top hit. She had like top 10 hits. She wasn't just some fly by night. She was one of the biggest records. And then when they took that and they turned that into a work where Lou Albano's talking about, I wrote all the music. Yo. I did this, I did that. What are you talking about? You were some broad. I met you in a bar in Ozone Park. Like he's crazy. He says that. And then like when they got, they squashed their beef, whatever, and they were doing an actual benefit for, I think it was multiple sclerosis, because Captain Lou's brother-in-law was ill with that. So he got together with Cyndi Lauper. They actually raised a lot of money in real life, and which is awesome. But like in genius fashion of the WWF in the 80s, they had Roddy Piper go wreck the ceremony, bro. Like,
did he bash the thing over his head?
Come on, bro. You see, I mean, that's just
in the garden too.
Yo, man, that's definitely one of the most incredible moments, man. But yeah, unbelievable, bro.
Much love to Captain Lou, man. All right, quarter classics. You know, we do this every time. Little fun, little segment. So mine for this week is I was at a card show. I found this in the quarter classic. Little. I don't know if you could see it from there.
Yeah. If you hold it like that, you can see it good. Yeah, that's a really cool card.
So this is an 88 Fantastic Sam's, Mattingly, obviously. And, you know, it was a little thing you could scratch off and you could win like a grand prize to go to the 88 championship game, or you could, you know, hang with a player for a day. I just loved it because it was Donnie Baseball. And what's cool about it as, you know, it wasn't scratched out or anything. You know, it's pretty mint. And, you know, anything from that era with Donnie Baseball, I mean, you can't lose.
Yo, that's awesome, bro, because my quarter classic, bro, is also a Donnie Baseball. If you can, let's see if we can get it to see it.
Nah.
Yeah, these green screens are crazy.
You
see it?
Oh, you can see it now. Perfect. Yeah, wait. Go back.
There we go.
We could edit it, whatever.
Yeah. It's a Jiffy Pop disc. Don Mattingly.
Yo, how crazy we both did Donnie Baseball.
Yeah, man. This was a cool card. I actually got this card for like probably a quarter. I got a bunch of cards in this box recently, and I was like, yo, I just was like, I want to just grab some Yankees. I never just go grab Yankees. I picked up some cool Ron Guidry's, and this one for like 50 cents or 25 cents, whatever.
What year is that,
cool. Joe? 87 Jiffy Pop series.
Wow. Yeah. Yo, that's crazy. We're on the same head. We both grabbed Donnie Baseball.
Yeah. That's speaking of which, the Rob Dibble, the Coogee sweater with the dog. Listen, this dude, I don't know if you follow this dude, Rookie Central on
I follow him on
Instagram. Yeah, yo, he posted like 10 or 12 out of the set today. Some of them are crazy, bro. It's really cool. It's some of the coolest cards I've ever seen. You got to see Rafael.
Whoever thought of that idea of what they were doing, I mean, it's genius.
Incredible, bro. Incredible. Yeah, man. So anyway, guys, thanks for being part of the show today. We had a good time. And we'll be talking to you next time about the next things popping in the game. So
peace.
Peace.